Good morning. In the 21st century, the world has awakened. Magic has returned, but technology has continued to advance. Shadowrun is our world, but changed. Today on Gaming with ADHD, we're going to take a look at the second plot sourcebook for Shadowrun's sixth world, Slipstreams, which is used to describe some of those changes and continue to advance the Shadowrun storyline. In this review, I'm going to do a basic overview of Slipstream, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and some things that I think are worth mentioning, but they have some positive or negative qualities to them. But they still impressed me, and I felt that they needed to be included. Okay, now just by way of disclaimer, I am familiar with the backstory of Shadowrun, but I have not been deeply invested in the game over its lifetime. So while I am familiar with some of the broad strokes of the setting, there can be a lot of historical details that I don't know or may miss. So please forgive me for those. So let's start with an overview of the book. It was released by Catalyst Game Labs in August of 2020. And this is for Shadowrun's sixth world, the sixth edition of the game. Now, fix the camera a little bit. Sorry about that. Too much. Now, it is 144 pages long, and it appears to be a sort of companion book to Cutting Black. The book is available in both print and PDF. The print version is $44.99. The PDF is $19.99. You can get both of those at the Catalyst Game Labs store on their website, or you can also get the PDF from Drive-Thru RPG. In fact, I will have an affiliate link down below if you want to check that out. It will help the channel a little bit. So yeah, there's that. Now, as I said, the game appears to be a companion to Cutting Black instead of a sequel. Okay, so where Cutting Black had, to me, more of an organized storyline with one event, we'll call it an intermission, and then another event that came afterwards in the timeline. This Slipstreams hits a lot more locations around the world overall. In fact, I believe there is a description of something that happens on each continent in the world. So you get a bit more variety in the locations, the things that they'll talk about. In addition, it does give details about the mystery of Third Core and what happened to them. That was the intermission that I mentioned in Cutting Black. This book takes place approximately 8 months, I believe, after Cutting Black. So do take that in mind. Like I said, it doesn't feel as much as there's a consistent timeline there, but that's where it is set as far as the timeline goes. Now, it is a plot source book, so as far as rules are concerned, it's pretty light. It does give some rules for character options, but mostly you're going to get a lot of setting information, different places, different organizations, different people. In addition, it's very magic focused. Instead of focusing on events happening over a specific timeline, a lot of the content in the book does focus on different magic organizations, different people involved in magic, spirits, the different effects that magic is having on the world. To me, it does seem like they are pushing for some sort of a magical event in the Shadowrun universe. But I don't know. I don't have access to those particular details. So, what did I like about the book? So first off, I really did like that they gave attention to locations outside of the UCAS and Seattle. Approximately 1/3 of the book is given to game material. There is Who You Gonna Call, which is a description of magic organizations. There's 15 different organizations that are listed. There's some old organizations such as the Draco Foundation, the Dunkelzon Institute of Magical Research. Wow, sorry about that. The Astral Space Preservation Society, and the Illuminates of the New Dawn. Those are all older organizations that I know have been in Shadowrun in the past. There is at least one organization that I believe is brand new. There may still be others, but the new one is the Black Lodge, which has actually 7 whole pages of detail about it. About its motivations, what they're after, how they operate, things like that. Each organization also has a small section detailing where their headquarters is, how many members they have, and what the primary purpose is. Such as the Draco Foundation. One of their primary purposes is estate law, because they manage Dunkelzon's will. The next one is the hiring board. It has 25 different adventure seeds. The information includes where the adventure should take place, how long the runners are given to complete it. Are they supposed to be there for a month or 2 weeks? Is it an ongoing kind of a thing? And so one thing I really liked about the hiring board is all of the adventure seeds actually have a 1 to 6 star rating, which is a Nuyen symbol, and basically they describe it as, the higher the pay, the higher the danger. Characters should expect to not come out alive or bleed extensively, when completing the run. So I really liked that, because it does give a sense of how difficult the GM should make the adventure. The next section is the Cast of Shadows. It has 24 NPCs. It does include Kellen Colt, who was one of the characters that actually inspired my reviews of Shadowrun Duels and the figures that I have for that. And they give lots of details. There are some specific that are named, like I said, Kellen Colt being one of them. But there's also a bunch of general ones, different spirits, different actors, different soldiers representing Third Corps, things like that. So they give you a big variety of characters that you can just drop into an adventure without having to create them on your own, or give you ideas on what you can use. And then the next one is the game information. Now that is obviously new rules. There are rules for Altera, including different sample Altera that you can use. There's rules for accessing mana from the planes. Rules for playing soldiers returning from the plane of Dis. Not just Third Corps, but actually soldiers throughout history. So that was kind of interesting. You can basically give characters mutations, such as a prehensile tail or gecko hands, or different little things. They've got some really fun options in there. Now, those are the things that I liked most out of the book. And there were a few other things I wanted to talk about. Number one, the commentary posts. These are pretty common in all of the Shadowrun books. I think they're great as far as giving different adventure seeds, different little nuances as far as what you're reading. Because what you're reading sometimes can be very textbook or report style. And so the commentary can be used to give an alternate viewpoint. The text may say this thing happened, and then you'll get a commentary that says, well, actually that's what the report wanted you to know. This is what really happened. And so it can give some extra fun things there. This book, I didn't find the commentary posts as useful. I still liked seeing them there. Sometimes they were funny. Sometimes they were, just like I said, just informational. But I do like how they can add to the narrative and sometimes give this brain a little bit of a break. Let's see. There are, for some of the new rules, like I said, there's the returned soldiers and the Alchera. The returned soldiers, I think, is a really fun idea for story hooks, NPCs, or even just character options. The GM could run an entire campaign, just using these returned soldiers, and I think that could actually be a really fun idea. Because part of the way that they describe it is that they disappeared for a while. And so where were they? Why did they come back now? Things like that. And so you could have, say the members of a squad that returned. And I think that could be really interesting. And then as far as the Alchera, I do like the way that they describe those. Basically it's different manifestations, either a vision of the past or an appearance of the past where it displaces things. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with it long term in the universe, but I actually was kind of developing some ideas on my own using the Alchera, so I really like getting the addition of these rules so I understand it a little better. And then art. If you've watched any of my reviews on Shadowrun products, I can be highly critical about the art. Obviously, I understand that art is absolutely in the eye of the beholder. Some people will like it, some people won't. But I think they've done very well with the art in the book, personally. And in I think the Sixth World art is pretty good in general. Now, I did not count the number of art pieces in Slipstreams, but it definitely did not seem as sparse as it was in Cutting Black. If you watch my review on that, you know that I hit that pretty hard. It was way better, or Cutting Black was still better than the Neo-Anarchist Guide or Neo-Anarchist Streetpedia, but Slipstreams is even better than Cutting Black. So keep that in mind. So, what are some things that I didn't like about the book? So, one of my biggest problems is I didn't think that Slipstreams was structured as well as Cutting Black was. I realize that I keep going back and comparing everything to Cutting Black, but this is only the second Plot Sourcebook in the series, so unfortunately it's kind of what I have to compare it to. So because of the lack of structure, it was difficult for me to focus on this book. I bought it a couple of days after it released. I've started reading it multiple times, but it was always hard for me to grab on and keep reading it. With jumping back into doing YouTube videos this year, I've really pushed myself, but it was a bit of a struggle. In fact, it's been 9 months since I bought the book until I finished it. So I think that's a little bit of a problem. I think the heavy concentration on magic topics was also a bit of a problem. For a plot book, something that's, stated to be advancing the storyline, I think the focus that they gave to the different organizations, the people, everything that was just general information, I think that it could have been better suited elsewhere. I would have preferred something that would be more in line with advancing the timeline, even if only a year or two, instead of a lot of general information that, in this case, may have been better suited for being included in Street Weird, for instance. I have Street Weird. I haven't started reading it. That'll be a future review. But I think the magic additions here may have been better suited to that book. And then finally, the Plane of Dis. Now, I don't dislike the Plane of Dis in a general sense. I think it definitely falls under my concerns about how much magic is put into this book in general. It's definitely an interesting concept. It clearly feels like they're going to use it as something for the larger narrative. But they don't really explain that. They don't expand on it. They just say, here it is. So it has sort of, we'll call it I believe the Dungeons and Dragons equivalent would be the City of Brass in Planescape. So, it's sort of this, semi-neutral plane of existence that happens to be a city. But they don't really explain how it fits in. They don't explain how it was involved with the Third Corps disappearance. So I don't think I would have disliked it as much if they had made more of those connections. Again, advancing that plot. I think it would have been a lot more useful if they'd expanded on it and how it related to Third Corps and Third Corps' return than some of the other content that they had in it. So, in conclusion, I think Slipstreams was very interesting. I think it's a good resource for game masters because of how much content it gives as far as the setting options go. But I'll be honest, as an average player, I don't think they're going to be as impressed. There is good information here. There's some fun character options if that's what you want to choose. But it definitely is not going to be as useful for everyone. And while I do think I think while they intended to advance the storyline like they did with Cutting Black, they definitely did not execute it as well. You just get the feeling that, okay, the timeline is forward, but they don't really tell you what's been happening along the way. Compared to Cutting Black, absolutely, I will give it a positive note in that I really appreciate how much rules content was in there. Cutting Black, I think, had less than a page of rules. It just had a couple of rules for insect spirits, and that was it. Whereas if you just count the new rules in Slipstreams, you get about 6 pages of rules. Whereas if you want to include all of the game content, the NPCs, the organizations, the story hooks, like I said, it's about a third of the book. So about 50 to 60 pages worth of rules, even if they're not specific rules. So yes, again, I'm probably counting more pages than I should. But regardless of how I count the pages, I still think they did better than they did in Cutting Black. So that's definitely a positive there. So final thoughts. Would I recommend this book? Absolutely, if you're a game master. If you're a game master and you're wanting more information for your players, you're wanting the rules for the Alchera or the rules for the returned soldiers, absolutely pick up Slipstreams. Don't forget, affiliate link down below for Drive-Thru RPG. But if you're a player, I'll be honest, I would have probably given it a pass had I read that first. But I'm also a bit of a completionist, so I probably would have picked it up anyways. So, if you're a player and you want the extra details, go ahead and pick it up. You won't, there's definitely good information here. There are just a couple of issues, as I said. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. Let me know what you think. If you bought Slipstreams, let me know what you have to say about it. I'd like to know, especially if you have something different compared to what I said. Absolutely would love to see your comments down below. I do my best to at least read all of them, if not respond. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would really appreciate it if you do. I'm trying to get more regular content out. There's absolutely going to be more Shadowrun content coming, plus content from all sorts of different games. I am definitely a gamer with ADHD, and it gets all over the place. So, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.